I'm Mike Hinderleiter, the Dean of Powerwash at Powerwash University and Powerwash.com. And today we're going to be talking to Clyde Heminger, a previous employee at Powerwash.com, and Diane Busby. Both of them are with Hope Cottage, a foster care association. And we're going to learn more about what they offer and how we can help them with their cause and their passion to help foster children. But anyway, let me start out with you, Clyde. Clyde, tell me a little bit about what you did when you were working here at Powerwash University and Powerwash.com. You came on about, 10 or 11 years ago, working with our, you originally came on just to be a video guy.
That's right.
That definitely more.
Sure did, yeah. So yeah, originally I was doing some of the videos for your YouTube channel, and then over time that, like you said, that morphed, and I became, communications coordinator, doing some Facebook stuff, doing some online ads, creating banners, creating signs, creating business cards, and just, sharing the benefits of Powerwash.com and Powerwash University with people. And I was able to take that skill set and apply it to another passion, which is Hope Cottage and foster care services.
Yeah, I think when you first started with the video side of it, my thought was, hey, Clyde's a video guy, but before long, you were just like taking on all these new projects, and we actually overwhelmed you pretty quick, which I thought was pretty cool.
I like, me, I like the challenge. So.
Yes, and you took on a lot of things, and you learned really fast, and you dove into things, and you'd research and figured out a lot of stuff that helped us here. And I thought that was pretty cool how you took that to apply it and to grow towards this passion that you had. So tell me a little bit about how that started, because I remember you coming to me to write you a letter so that you could do an adoption process, and that you and your wife had talked a lot about getting into adoption and foster care. Kind of walk us through that process and how you came into becoming a foster parent.
All right. So, my wife and I were looking for a way to grow our family. And this was around, 2014, 2015. We hadn't parented any biological children. We both felt like there were enough kids in the world and that we could reach out and help some child that needed our love and support. And also, my wife has a very active job. So, being pregnant and spending downtime just was not an ideal situation for her. So we determined that adoption was going to be a good plan for our family, and foster care was probably one of the best ways that we could reach out and help children in the community who really need support. So yes, of course, I checked with you, and she checked with her employers at the time, because it does take a lot of support from your employer. I missed a lot of work doing, court cases and things like that for hearings with foster care. And, there's a lot of like therapy for the child and things like that. Things you have to do visitations, and you were really awesome kind of working around that schedule and supporting our family. Having that kind of support from an employer made this a lot easier. So our daughter came to stay with us as a foster child in an emergency placement in October of 2015, after we went through a licensing and training process. And she spent approximately 18 months with us before the case moved to an adoption plan. So we ultimately adopted her in June of 2017, and she's of course still with us. She's doing school in the next room. So yeah, that's been an interesting challenge this year. But yeah, and over time, I learned so much about children in need and children from hard places, and just how prevalent this issue is when I started fostering and learning how to become a foster parent. I mean, statistically, about 56 kids come into foster care in Texas every day.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
really, if you look at it, that's about one kid every half hour.
Wow. I
You
had no
know,
idea. That's a lot.
foster parents are incredibly important. Um, and unfortunately, with coronavirus and some of the stresses that people are facing at home, uh, that's creating some issues for families, a lot of stress. And of course, with stress, sometimes that can cause people to have unhealthy um, coping mechanisms. And there's uh, more kids coming into care now, especially that schools are starting and teachers are starting to see some of these children again. So there's a huge need right now.
Yeah. It really needs so you're saying the need for a safe home environment for a lot of these kids is super important right now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A need for a safe home is important for a kid
Well,
all the
I
time,
just
but
mean that,
yeah,
yeah. The,
especially now.
the
Yeah,
conditions
especially now.
have, yeah, the conditions of coronavirus have created situations where some
Absolutely.
family environments aren't that well suited for them to be there. Yeah, and it makes it a little worse. Yeah, I've heard some of those statistics, and it's not good. Um, so so now when just real briefly, I just back up just a little bit. So when you're here at Powerwash.com, one of the things that we really do, and we work with our employees and everyone, is that we want people to grow and become more themselves and find their passion. So as you developed into this foster care side, you had, I guess, just a few months ago, noticed that they posted a job interview, and next thing I know, you're knocking on my door and saying, "Mike, I'm giving you my 2 weeks notice." What happened? But I was very happy for you when I found out where you were going and what you were doing, um, and and uh, uh, and still am, and I can tell that you're super excited and super happy about where you're at and what you're doing. And that's awesome. It's not everybody gets to really commingle their employment with their passion. And as the saying goes, you you don't work a day if you're doing what you enjoy and what you love.
Right.
Yeah, and you're there.
That's
And
really true.
yeah. So Diane, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Hope Cottage.
Well, I am the development director for Hope Cottage, and I've been in nonprofit for many years. Prior to this, I was with a pediatric cancer nonprofit in their development department, and then came to Hope Cottage and just really loved their mission. I'm a single mom of three and have been for many years, and so building families and parent-child relationships are very important to me. So, and I just have to say, as far as for you, I am so thankful that you supported Clyde, and I'm so sorry that he left you. But I am really happy that he is at
Yes, yes.
Hope Cottage, because he truly is such an asset to the company. And like you said, he's a very fast learner, and has just embraced his role here and is amazing. And so it's really exciting to have him. And so as far as Hope Cottage goes, I've been here almost a year, so I'm kind of a newbie as well. So Clyde and I are connected that way. But ultimately, just to tell you a little bit about Hope Cottage, but because we do actually a whole lot other than just foster care services, but we are a nonprofit, obviously, and our mission is to build families, nurture and build families through education, counseling, and adoption services. And we were founded over 100 years ago as an adoption agency. And since that time, we have expanded our impact in North Texas by adding foster care services, parenting support, and youth education. And so the bottom line is that our goal is to ensure that every child has a nurturing family. And that can look different. It can be connecting children with adoptive or foster parents. It can be equipping mothers in crisis to create a really safe and stable home life with positive parenting skills. And then we're educating our region's youth, which is very important because we are helping them not to become parents themselves prior to them being equipped for that responsibility. And then, even it can even look as different as, helping children who are looking to reunite with their birth parents later in life. And so all of these things are interrelated and have in common the fact that we're building strong families and developing those parent-child relationships. So that's a little bit about who Hope Cottage is.
Which is
In
really
the Power
cool.
Wash,
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead,
I was
Clyde.
going to say, in the Power Wash industry, we call that a full service provider.
Yes.
So really, I mean,
right.
I want to address a couple of misconceptions because, yeah, we do a lot. Most of what we do is counseling and education and strengthening families. I think there's some misconceptions out there that, we've got bunk beds full of kids in the back and we're like an orphanage and little orphan Annie is just waiting for you to take her home. And it's not so much the case. That's not the case at all. We're all about education and counseling and building strong families. So,
yes.
Well, I think, and then, as you said earlier, you talked about what's going on right now with the pandemic. I think it's not just with the pandemic. I think the pandemic has probably exacerbated it and made the situation a little, well, lack of a better word, worse for those that don't have good parenting skills and don't understand what it means to have a good family environment and didn't grow up in that type of environment. So having a source or a resource for parents to go to learn these kind of things, I think is outstanding.
absolutely. The resources and support are essential for anybody. I mean, for any parent, anybody can come to us and benefit in some way, whether they're going to, adopt a child, foster a child, they want to learn parenting skills or do, professional education for, nurses and other types of caregivers who interact with people who have been touched by adoption or fostering. That kind of support is always going to be necessary. So you're absolutely right. This is incredibly important.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Anaya, your daughter. I hope I said that right. I always seem to mispronounce her name.
Nope, you got it right. You got it right.
Good.
All right. Well, as I said earlier, Anaya came to us as an emergency foster placement in 2015, and she had a lot of challenges because of trauma experienced. I'm not going to go into great detail about exactly what that trauma was because it's a personal, private. But suffice it to say, a lot of kids that come into foster care have experienced neglect or some kind of verbal abuse or physical abuse or sexual abuse, or they've witnessed drug use or those kinds of things. And this neglect or trauma impacts them on a neurological level. So Anaya's success story, when she first came to us at almost 3 years old, she was, completely nonverbal, and delayed in many different ways. And, through love and support and speech therapy and, and counseling services, we've been able to help her grow and help her build social emotional skills to try to move past her trauma, so that she can, be a, trying to put this in a, so that she can be a successful and happy child. That's our goal, as parents, and of course as Hope Cottage, successful, happy children and happy families. And not every child from foster care becomes eligible for adoption. The goal of foster care, what I think a lot of people don't realize, the actual goal is family reunification. In most cases, in fact, when a child is removed, the biological family has an opportunity to work services, and that could be parenting classes, that could be drug rehab or whatever, and those services are determined by a judge. And when parents work those services, children can move toward reunification. And that's the typical scenario, to keep families intact. But in our case, that didn't work out. And Anaya became eligible for adoption, and we were happy to give her a loving home.
Nice.
So that's her story in a nutshell.
Very nice. Diane, do you have any success stories you want to share?
Well, as far as Hope Cottage, there are so many success stories. It's phenomenal. And I would just encourage you all to go to the website and look at our blogs, and they're all written out and they're awesome. It'll bring you to tears. And especially some of the recent ones with dealing with COVID, and the delays that have happened, and the ups and downs of, oh, it's going to happen, and then no, it's not going to happen, and no, it's going to happen, and not. It's a lot. And one of the things that I love about Hope Cottage, and especially our caseworkers, and Clyde is going to be dealing with this, is it's the ability of our staff to be able to really work with these families to help adjust their expectations and keep them. It's a lot of emotion, when you're thinking you're going to have your child, and then the courts do something, or the courts close down, and then now it's open and you have this date. And so it's been a beautiful thing, even through this pandemic, to see how, it's just exemplified the fact that our staff is so amazing, and that we really just reach out and continually work side by side with these families to make sure that they're prepared, and that they understand what's going on, and really are able to be as equipped for these kiddos who are coming in, because it's trauma for the kids too, to be thinking,
right.
And so there's a lot of success stories. I say go read up. It's amazing. Having lived here my whole life in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I personally have not been touched by adoption. I have family members who I've known who, have been adopted, but if you haven't been touched by adoption personally, or know somebody who has and understand their story, it is not something that's talked about all that much. And I have to say, there's a lot of ignorance, and there was a lot of ignorance on my part when I came to this organization. I was like, I've seen a Lifetime movie, like that. I don't know anything about it. So it's been a huge learning curve to find out that right under my nose, and right under all of our nose, is this horrible situation that's going on. There's a lot of kids who are in the system and we don't even know it. It's right here, right where we are. And, Clyde, you can probably address this a little bit more, but, there's a lot of kids who also are aging out of the system. So not everybody wants kiddos who are in their teens, and so they just go from foster home to foster home, and then they hit 18 and they're adults and they have no family. They have no.
Imagine being homeless on your 18th birthday,
right?
Because you have no place to go.
Right.
That's the reality for millions of kids.
Right.
The unfortunate reality, and a lot of them end up incarcerated within a few months.
That's
Some of them
unfortunate.
end
Yeah,
up
it's extremely
some of them
unfortunate.
end up pregnant. I mean, to
And
put it in a pressure washing related. So imagine, I encourage everybody to check out our blog, follow us on Facebook, to learn and hear stories about children in our community and adoption success stories. Because if you think you know adoption because you've seen a Lifetime movie, as Diane said, that's like saying, well, I've gone to one of those coin operated car washes, so I know everything there is to know about pressure washing. It just ain't the case.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it
You know,
sounds
to
like,
relate it to pressure washing, it's
yeah, it sounds like the process of adoption and any foster caring can be a very, or it can be a huge emotional roller coaster for all those involved. But at the end of the day, when you're helping someone to succeed in life and become a better person, it's extremely rewarding.
right.
And,
yes.
and to know you're passing on that kind of thing to another human being or helping another life um, it is extremely touching and self-fulfilling.
Yes. And one of the things that I hear sometimes is, oh, well, I'm just not that kind of person. I could never do that. And what I like to say to those kind of people is if you have the capability to love, and if you have an open heart and an open mind, you know, you can be a foster parent, or you could be an adoptive parent, or you could support a foster parent, you know, or an adoptive parent. There's just so many ways that people can help.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us some of the goals and expectations that Hope Cottage has for this upcoming year or next year. What's on the horizon?
Right. Well, I know, you know, just like everybody else in the world these days, we have been adjusting to a world with COVID. And, you know, even within a pandemic, I mean, you cannot control family, and adoption and foster placements have continued, and they give children what they need the most. And especially in a stressful time like this, is a safe and nurturing family. And we have continued to bring support and education to teens and adult parents who are in crisis and recovering from trauma themselves, usually, right? We say the cycle continues. So, and a lot of these, I mean, well, we all experience it. Parents right now have more pressures on them than ever before, with health crisis, economic crisis, and truly our goal as Hope Cottage is to continue to offer a lifeline to those parents so that they can find stability and be able to be the best moms and dads that they can be. And, you know, it's really exciting because school is back in session, even though I have my daughter in the back room and Clyde has his daughter. Some kids are back in school, but even if they aren't back in person, the fact is that we are rolling out our youth education program virtually to students. And we're super excited because we just had our first virtual session to more than 150 kiddos. And this is just the beginning of the school year. So we're planning
what does the youth education program entail? Is that like teaching young foster kids how to be more adult?
Well, let me field that one, because youth education is one of my favorite things that we do, and it's not actually reaching out to foster kids. It's reaching out to high school and junior high school kids from all walks of life, but particularly at-risk kids. They teach kids about, you know, healthy relationships and boundaries and discussing feelings. And the idea is to educate at-risk kids so that they make good decisions about, you know, their future and their relationships, so that hopefully they can, you know, steer their future in a positive direction. One of the best ways to prevent things like teen pregnancy is through education. And that's one of the services we provide through our youth education program.
And we do that through all the different high schools in North Texas area. So we partner with those schools and we go in and, like, we're going virtually, but we used to go actually into the classrooms and speak to these kiddos in the schools. They, you know, when you're at risk, not everybody has a role model or even a vision of what a healthy relationship looks like. And when all that you know is the unhealthy relationship, that's the cycle you're going to continue unless you're educated and have the ability to see what a healthy relationship looks like, what you are, how you are supposed to be treated and how you are to treat others. So it's very exciting. And like I said, I mean, we have so many different programs as well, but our organization just as a whole, we're super excited because we just welcomed in a brand new CEO. Her name is Teresa Lendling, and she has joined us. She joined us last month. And she was from the Perot Museum of Nature and Science in Dallas. And she was the vice president of the school and community engagement program, and her community connections and nonprofit strategy background is tremendous, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
So, we're excited about that. And we're also embarking on a new strategic plan this year. So the momentum has been amazing. And we are really excited about it. We, you know, as hard as this pandemic has been, it has helped us to be able to continue to improve and move into different areas of being able to service our community and our clients. And so we're excited for continuing that and really helping children to have a great start in life. Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm so glad that the timing of this interview has happened when it has, because it is the 12th annual North Texas Giving Day coming up on September 17th. And listen to these statistics, crazy. Last year, over 3,000 nonprofits in the North Texas area, that's a lot of nonprofits around here, all came together. Funds were raised, and they raised over $50 million during this one day where you give back. And, you know, we have a goal ourselves of raising $30,000 this year. And we are, you know, that's one way to help give back. If you don't have a tug in your heart or the ability to be able to foster a child, or then, you know, if you have the finances to, we would love to have you come to our website, go to the North Texas Giving Day website and look there. There's, Clyde, do you have any like volunteer options for people? You can always go look on our website as well to see.
I do, actually. Foster Care Services is always looking for people who can help tutor. Foster kids in care, especially kids that are doing, you know, school from home. A lot of these kids enter care, and as you can imagine, they're behind in school and they need a lot of support. And sometimes schools can and can't offer the kind of support that they need. So if you're the kind of person who can tutor a child through Zoom, hit us up because we need your help. Another way that you can support us is, as I was saying earlier, just go like us on Facebook, share our stuff, help us get our message out there. That costs nothing. So everybody can do something to help us out.
And then if they want to take a step further, how would they get more involved with Hope Cottage?
Well, go ahead, Diane.
We actually have, if internships, we have the ability to, yes, in fact, we have 10 interns working with us right now.
That's awesome.
We really take a lot of pride in the caliber of people that come and are dedicated to Hope Cottage and really help us out. And we rely a lot on those interns. And so, and then there's volunteer opportunities as well. So definitely, you know, go, like we said, call us, reach out to us personally, Clyde, me, whoever on the website, go look there, and we're happy to plug you in where we can. Sometimes because we do work with kids, I know a lot of people sometimes want to get involved with the kids, but that's not always an avenue that we can do because of the regulations that are on us. and the state regulations. So just know that. But if we do have, annual events. We having to do those via Zoom lately, but annual picnic. We have, our holiday party, which I have a feeling that's all going to have to be virtual this year. And so those are challenges we're still working through. But as we get back to normal, which hopefully we will soon enough, we will, need help with other events. And we had a volleyball tournament this past year that ended up getting canceled. There's great ways to get involved and be able to see families that way and participate. So as those come up, they'll always be on our website, and we'll be shooting them out in our social media. So again, follow us there.
That's great. That's great. So as you were talking, it made me think about, and what Clyde said earlier about the number of kids that come into the need of foster care a year. Clyde, do you know the statistics on how many kids don't get the help that they need, and why it's so important to have volunteers and this kind of support in the community?
Well, there's a lot to unpack with that question.
Yes.
So let's talk about support and how a kid might move through the process. Sometimes the coronavirus, as I alluded to earlier, has made it a little bit difficult for kids in our community to get support because, I should say, at-risk children and at-risk families to get support.
Let's hold on a second, because we were talking at-risk earlier. So what defines at-risk? I mean, I have an idea.
A good question. Well, an at-risk teen would be maybe a teen who has come from a difficult home. Maybe they witnessed domestic abuse, or maybe they've got some kind of trouble, broken home kind of a situation. So we want to try to address their needs and educate them about what healthy relationships might look like. And an at-risk family is the whole family. Maybe a parent who's having trouble parenting their child, either due to just poverty. A lot of people think of neglect as parents that don't care about their kids, and the sad reality is that's not usually the case. They're trying to pay the bills. They're working 2 jobs, and unfortunately, older kids end up watching younger kids, and that
makes a lot of sense, because the parents aren't there to monitor what's going on. So the kids are kind of like what do they call the devil's playground, where they have too much time and no one around to monitor them, so they get into trouble, and next thing you know, they're at risk.
Absolutely. So the coronavirus has kind of slowed kids coming into care a little bit, simply because the typical way kids may come into care is if a teacher or a counselor or someone else in their life sees signs of abuse or neglect and then reports it. But when they're at home, they're not interacting with those outside sources as much. So as I said earlier, there may be, or there will be an increase in kids as kids start to go back to school. Teachers are going to start seeing these signs. When kids come into care, because there's so many kids that come into care, it can sometimes be difficult finding, we want to try to find foster homes that are in their community or as close to where they came from as possible. It's not ideal to take a kid from, a rural location like Cleburne or Burleson or something like that and ship them to downtown Dallas. It's such a culture shock to a young child, especially, a lot of these children just don't have a lot of experience traveling and seeing other things. So finding foster families is a huge deal, but finding parents and families who can support in the areas where those children need the support is incredibly important. And then finding not just the foster families or parental support, but finding people who can help support those people through, tutoring or through just dropping off a meal. The first time you get a placement or something, it can be kind of a tailspin. You've been preparing for a kid to come into your home, but I know I took a couple days off just because we had to go buy clothes. We had to go buy toys, things like that. We didn't know what kind of kid, what age kid we were going to get. So we didn't want to end up with a bunch of baby toys and then end up with a 6-year-old. And we don't want to have a bunch of toys for a 6-year-old that aren't appropriate for an infant. So, there can be a huge expense in with families who are adopting or families who are fostering. So supporting families that way is important.
So do you, kind of going back to the question, do you know statistically like how many kids go unhelped and how strong the need is, or are you able to even collect that data?
I don't have specific statistics. Ooh,
Okay.
Say that 10 times fast. But I don't have them on hand off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I do know that there's a need. There's a definite need.
Sure. Okay. And there's, just in closing, we've kind of hit it somewhat already, but is there anything else y'all would like to add to this interview to make the viewers aware of how to help Hope Cottage, or how to make things better for the families and children that are in need, at risk?
Yes, and let me just say, if you guys go to our website, and Michael, this might be helpful to you because I know you're asking for statistics. We have our annual report
Okay. There you go.
on our website, and in that annual report, it breaks down, it gives statistics. So definitely, because there's a lot of numbers, and it's a lot of different areas. There's how many foster kids, there's how many in Texas, how many, in this specific area, there's how many are aging out of the system. There's a lot of statistics out there, and you can Google those as well. It is shocking, and there's just such a huge need. And just to realize, be aware when you're out and about, and because you're just going to be shocked to think, okay, these kiddos could possibly all be in the system. When you're out and around, if you're in Arlington walking around, or Dallas walking around, and some of those areas, it's just really hard. And believe it or not, it's right here in areas that you actually, that aren't just in the lower income areas. It's right here too, in our regular, suburban areas as well. And so just know that. And again, we are so thankful, Michael, to you, to Powerwash.com for even offering to have us on. It's really exciting, especially with North Texas Giving Day right around the corner. We just love to have, any push to help us out to be able to reach our goal. We train up our foster families, and we help in the schools, and all of that we do, we're just doing that. That's not something that we're reimbursed for, because, and it takes hours and hours and many hours. Clyde will attest to teach and train and enable these wonderful parents and families to be able to go forward and really open their hearts and their homes to these children that need it so much, and they deserve a really great start in life. And we're so thankful for the families that open their hearts. And just if you have any questions, go to our website, and don't forget North Texas Giving Day, September 17th. You can go to our website, you can go to the North Texas Giving Day website, and follow us on social channels and check us out. And
that's awesome. So what is your website address?
HopeCottage.org.
HopeCottage.org. Very good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then is there a phone number any other way? I mean, you've got a Facebook page. It's Hope Cottage. It has to follow you there.
We've got Facebook. We've got Instagram. Yep, we've got Facebook. We've got a Facebook page. We've got an Instagram page. We've got a LinkedIn page. We've got we don't use Twitter too much, but we do have it. We've got our website, and all of those will link you to us. And I don't even know if I know our Hope Cottage phone number.
I'm sure it's on the website.
It's on the website for sure. You can go to staff and you can see who we are, and you can actually from the staff directly email each individual staff member if there's a specific one you'd like to speak with.
That's awesome. It's awesome. I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's extremely noble and helpful to those for the community and rewarding for yourselves, and not to mention what you're doing for the lives and changing the children and those that are affected by this. This is just outstanding. I'm so happy for you, Clyde, and for you as well, Diane, but to see, especially, and I'm going to pick on Clyde a little bit, to see Clyde dressed like he is, I don't think he ever but
yeah. We had a relaxed office.
We had a very relaxed.
And Mike was a generous boss, so there were a few Fridays that I wore a Hawaiian shirt,
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being on, and much success for those lives that you touch, and have much more continued success. Yes.
Thank you. Well. And same to you.
Thank you as well.
Yes.
Very good. All right. That's it. Thanks, Clyde. Thanks, Dana.
Bye, Mike. Good to see you again.
Bye-bye.